everyone. Welcome to Kiki's Chat Show. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of March, and here we are again. We do have bits of lapses here and there, but Kiki is very busy. But today I had to bring on my wonderful guest. My guest is Gina, and she is a natural holistic mystic. She's
Indeed.
been on my show before, and we talked about turning lead into gold, and we're doing that again. But this time, we're going to talk about the alchemy of pain, turning trauma into power and purpose. And power and purpose then turns you still into gold. So let me tell you a bit about Gina. Gina is a transformational guide, intuitive life coach, a sex positive advocate dedicated to helping women reclaim their power, heal from their wounds, their past wounds, and step into their limitless potential. She is a founder of The Goddess Within, Limitless, and the visionary behind Limitless Wombman Podcast. A bold, unfiltered space where real conversations spark deep healing, self-discovery, and radical empowerment. Her journey is one of true alchemy, from surviving substance abuse, domestic, financial abuse, homelessness, rape, and becoming a mother at 16. Gina has turned life's heaviest moments into pure gold. She is not just a coach, she's an alchemist, someone who transforms pain into power, wounds into wisdom, and struggle into strength. Through her work, she helps others unlock the same magic within themselves. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. What an introduction. Wow, it's funny hearing it all laid out like that.
Well, you are an amazing woman, and these
Thank
are
you.
the things that you do. This is your life. This is the reality of the whole thing. This is what you're passionate about, and this is you have transformed lots of people.
Yeah.
And even me, meeting you has been a true inspiration for myself. But I constantly want to inspire women and use people like you who do it naturally to continue to inspire women and make women realize that they are worth it. They have all the gold, they have all the energy they have, and they can make something of themselves.
100%.
So
100%.
welcome to the show. Welcome to
Thank
the
you.
show. Can you talk a little bit about alchemy in the first
Sure.
instance? The
Sure.
title is The Alchemy of Pain, Turning Trauma into um,
Gold.
gold.
The lead of
And
your life.
so, if you can, I actually wanted to say turning trauma into power and purpose, which then turns into gold.
Of course, yeah.
So, um, is it possible to talk a little bit about the alchemy of it? What is alchemy in the first place?
Sure, sure. So scientifically, alchemy is when you can spin lead into gold. It's actually a chemical thing that you can do if you have the skills. Um, and in the beginning there, you said that it's something I do naturally. And I guess not, to be honest with you, it's not something that came naturally to me. It's something that I had to be mentored on and trained in order to reach the levels that I am now. I was
Mm.
not doing that naturally. That's why I ended up going into alchemy. I found out about alchemy just purely by accident. Well, nothing happens by accident. Everything happens in your life purposefully and for a reason, even if you can't see it at the time. But I was actually meant to be going to a business workshop, and I just saw an ad saying unleash your genius, and I went off to do this 1 day free seminar, and that's where I first learned about alchemy. And I just was taught a couple of very small tips, and it blew my mind. And I just kept going. I kept going, and that's been nearly 10 years ago now. And when I first started, it was a strange experience, because what people think, when you think about alchemy, you think about a wizard, you do think about the scientific thing about spinning lead into gold and stuff. But alchemy is in existence in all of our lives, all the time. I think I've lost you, but I'm not sure, so I'll carry on.
No, you're there. You're on
All
screen.
right.
Don't
Okay.
worry. You're on
Okay.
screen.
So what I found was learning about alchemy was a revelation to me, because it's in all of our lives. And once you get into the study of alchemy and you start applying it to your life, you start to realize how much power you have over your life. Alchemy gives you back your power where you feel powerless. I started the company, The Goddess Within, because I was meeting other women who I thought were powerful, but were acting powerless. But they were really reflecting me, because every time you meet somebody, every interaction you have, every relationship you have, is a mirror of something that's going on with you vibrationally. Most of us don't want to admit that, especially when we're in negative relationships or bad relationships or whatever we want to label them as. But the moment you start to do alchemy, it leads you to radical responsibility, self-responsibility, and that makes you realize how powerful you are. Just up until every single decision you make, every choice you make puts you on a different timeline. If you choose to go that way, it will take you one way. If you choose to go that way, but each action causes another reaction, and it carries on and it carries on. But the more empowered you get within yourself, the more you can direct things, you know. The quote that I heard when I first did my that first day, and it's by Carl Jung, and it says, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. So until you become conscious of what's going on for you subconsciously, you will keep on repeating patterns. You'll hear people say all the time, I always go at this sort of person, or this always happens to me, or and they speak these words into their lives all the time. These are words which are like spells, you know. We repeat them so many times, we start to believe them. And then we'll look at someone else and be like, why are they doing this? Or why are they so happy? Or why is this, that, and the other? You know, I've started to find joy in my life because of just facing my wounds, facing my shadow, starting to see that actually the world isn't a terrible place. My life isn't a terrible life, you know. There's so many things that I've survived and got through. And I remember at the time thinking to myself, why me? Why am I always going through this? And those are the questions I kept on asking. Whereas now, when something's happening in my life, I'm more likely to sit and say, well, what's going on? Like, what have I done? Why are you attracting this? What's actually triggering you? Someone triggers you. What is it about what they said that's triggered you? Because when it's not something you need to work on, when it's not something that's going on for you subconsciously, you don't feel anything with it. There's no energy to it. There's only energy to things which you need to do deeper work on. So alchemy is basically the process of you tapping into your subconscious and using that energy from the shadow, from your negatives, from your wounds, from whatever it is, to power you into a better situation going forward. So you might be like, oh, I'm always late, for example. That's a basic one. Someone says I'm always late. But you're not always late. There'll be many of times when you weren't late. So when are the times that you are late? I saw this meme and it made me laugh, and it said that this person was saying to their employer, I'm sorry I'm late, I didn't want to be here. But you know, sometimes we're late because of things that we are just not agreeing with. Like, I used to be that person who was always late, and sometimes people still think I'm a late person, but I'm often on time, but people assume that I'm going to be late. But it's okay. I don't really mind, because it doesn't, what other people think of you doesn't really matter. The work you have to do is on yourself. You can't keep on fighting battles and proving yourself to people that are not necessarily relevant in your journey. I'm not saying that they're not relevant as in you shouldn't care about them, but your journey is your own. So focusing on other people is just going to take you longer to get to where you need to be. So alchemy keeps me focused. It keeps me on the razor's edge. You know, it reminds me to come back to myself all the time. And it reminds me how powerful I am. So, and
moving away from yourself,
mm,
moving away from yourself.
yeah, cool.
What kind of key challenges do you see when women facing today, which they will need to, to help them with this, to become aware that there is an alchemy within themselves, which can help them come out of whatever, doldrums that they're in?
I love that question, and I'm glad that you asked me that, because in the work I do with women, I find that when I first start working with them, I hear familiar stories. I hear familiar things, men are like this, men do this to me, or this is, they're no good, or they all cheat, or all the different stories that come up, which are valid. I'm not here to invalidate anybody's experience or their feelings. But the thing that I find when I work with women, and what I think helps them, is helping them to reflect on their situation in a much more in-depth way. My company is called The Goddess Within because it's about going in. So if you've had these situations happen to you all the time, where did you find yourself not putting in stronger boundaries? Where did you find yourself not showing yourself enough love? Where did you find yourself doing things that you didn't want to do because you wanted to please somebody, right? But then you please them, and then it doesn't work out, and now they're a bad person. Anybody can become a villain in your story if you choose that. If you choose that way, you can make a good friend of mine said to me one time when I was talking to her about a past relationship or something, and she said to me, "You know what, Gina? You can make anybody a villain in your show." And I was like, it's so true. Because what we do as women sometimes is we make them the villain. So while we are making everybody the villain, it might not be a man, could be someone at work, it could be a situation. So I don't want to just make it about relationships, but because my focus so much is on bridging the gap between women and men, I tend to bring it to that. But we need to be able to take responsibility in our lives and say, like, actually, this keeps on happening in my life over and over again with different people, men, women, work, whatever it is, same thing happening over and over again. Who is the common denominator in that story? It's you.
Yeah.
So what you have to think about is, what am I bringing? What energy am I bringing? Actually, am I quite insecure? And I'm projecting that onto people and saying that this is they're picking on me. They don't think I'm good enough. Or am I scared of an opportunity and I'm saying, oh, they didn't pick me because of this, that, and the other, but not admitting that I'm actually scared, or maybe I didn't prepare properly, or I prepared, but it's not actually the job for me, or the whatever it is for me. Do you get what I mean? Sometimes we try to make things fit because we think we should. Society has said we should be this, we should be married, we should have children, we should blah blah blah. So especially women have got like so many narratives that we're supposed to follow. The good girl, the saucy woman in the bed, the good cook, the everything. We're supposed to be all these things.
Mother, the good, excellent mother.
Exactly.
The one who does everything, basically.
Everything. You have a child and you're meant to know what to do, even though people have been having children for thousands of years and not knowing what to do, but you're supposed to know what to do and just be like this perfect mother. And whether you had children young or old, I don't think that that's necessarily an issue. I think the issue is about how much pressure you're putting on yourself to conform to society's norms. You got to get out of that box and be like, no, I'm gonna be me. People talk about authenticity, and that word's been bandied about like so many other words in the self-help industry. But you know what? Being authentic isn't always about being aggressive or annoying, or speaking your truth isn't about just telling people stuff which they don't even need to know. Speaking your truth is coming from heart and being true to yourself. What is going on for me right now? What's actually going on for me? How do I really feel about this? Or am I just smiling and going, yeah, it's all okay, it's okay. Meanwhile, I don't even want to go. I don't want to be there. I don't want to do this or do that, So for me, with the women I work with, I find them incredible. I don't see the women I work with as, even though initially when I started the company, I thought women were acting powerless. What I realized as I got on in this work is that everybody is super powerful. That's what alchemy is about. Everybody is so powerful. And the only thing that you really need to do when you're working with people like that is just ignite them, you know, create that
Yeah.
spark, remind them of who they are. Just it's
Yeah.
about remembering who you are. It's not about changing someone. It's not about fixing someone because there's something wrong with them. It's about reminding them who they are so they can stand in their grace and their sovereignty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think women generally, it depending on your society, and some of the expectations are so huge, and we live in a society where everyone is telling women what to do. Women cannot make up their mind. Women are this, women are that. But it's if you are there and everyone is bombarding you with what they expect of you, what then becomes of you? And unless you're a robot, it's really difficult.
Mm,
One
mm,
thing I was wondering is there a particular woman or group of women who
mm.
inspired you to get into the whole alchemy thing?
I think there's a lot of women. I think my mum is a big factor. I think watching my mum be try to be so many things to so many people all the time, and watching her struggle, watching as I got older, learning that, you know, the struggles that she had, she did what she could at the best at the time, and just healing that wound that I had with her,
Mm,
and learning to, and seeing that holding on to pain for so long, how much it can erode who you are, how much it can impact your self-esteem, how
mm,
much it can make you, you know,
mm.
judge yourself incorrectly, or keeping up with the Joneses. You know, I'm from Nigeria, and keeping up with the Joneses seems to be like, I don't know why they call it the Joneses. They should find a new African name for that, because everybody, it seems to me, has a way that you have to be, you know. And I found that, and the more
Keeping up, I've got one. Keeping up with Dangote.
that
Dangote.
would be that's a
You're millionaire.
I know, that's a good one. If only I could, yeah. But he's doing a pretty awesome job from what I observed last time I was in Nigeria. His name's on everything. But yeah, it's like growing up in an African family and watching the women around me, and then feeling a bit of a misfit and not quite fitting in the way I was supposed to, and then getting just tired of trying to fit in and just being like, well, this is who I am, you know. I think the
Yeah.
changes came from seeing women, so many women that I used to admire and think so many, you know, all these things of, and then maybe speaking to them and finding out that they're the insecurities that they had, and being really surprised, thinking, but you've got all this, you seem so, you know. And then those are the things that really helped me to grow, because going from a space of, oh, everyone else seems to be doing all right, or everybody this, or she's got this, or other, to being like, it's okay, we're all on our own journey, we're all in our own lane, there's no competition except for with yourself, and most of the competition you
Yes.
make with yourself is based on results that are external to you, that people are putting onto you. So really, what is the race? What is the competition? Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So do you do you meet people,
Mm.
inspire them, help them to find their goal? And when do you think the person has found their goal? When do you define success in the finding gold?
Mm. So I used to be one of these people that was always giving out advice that no one asked me for. And that was before before I found the space to actually do it with people that asked me, right? I think that was
Mm,
the need. There was a need there, right?
mm,
And so the women I've worked with and continue to work with at the moment, it's not like one moment that goes ping, oh, look there, she's done, off you go. It's the gradual process and the observations, the things I hear them saying, the things that they start telling me that actually I went into work today and I wasn't stressed out about this, that, and the other. Or I spoke to I spoke to a relative and I was really clear and boundaried. And I felt so much better after because I spoke my truth and I didn't do it in a malicious way. I did it from heart. It's those little sparks. And when you've worked with someone over a longer period of time, then you can, what I tend to do with the women I work with, I always do completions, or I do little exercises with them, or I do things where they measure their gains and I get them to reflect back. So we're constantly kind of doing little life reviews. How was last week? How was last month? How was last year? What was you doing last year? Now what you're doing now? And if they turn around and say, oh, I haven't done this yet, I haven't done that yet, but this is why goals are great, but you focus too much on the goals. You've just got a list sometimes of what you've not done. But when you go backwards and you look at your progress, then you can see the growth and you're like, oh my gosh, wow. So with the women I work with, it's not like one moment that goes pink, although there will be things that happen where I go, oh my gosh, that is huge, right? But mostly it's the delicate, slight little things that they're doing. It's the way they're standing in themselves. It's the way that they start to hold themselves. I worked with a woman who really had issues with femininity and saw femininity as a weakness, right? And when I first started working with her, she's lovely looking woman, but she just wasn't kind of glowing. And I remember seeing her by the time I finished, and she just looked radiant. The way she started to do her hair and, just started to show love for herself. That was the transformation. And I like to see, to encourage women to take pictures of themselves when, to observe themselves. I tend to do a lot of body work where they do goddess body work, where they love their bodies, look at themselves in the mirror. I get them to look in the mirror a lot, because a lot of women, they don't even look in the mirror. I've worked with women who just don't have a mirror, don't look in the mirror, which if you don't look at yourself and you don't feel love for yourself, how can you if you're never seeing your beauty? You're never looking at yourself and admiring who you are.
When you say don't look in the mirror, every woman looks at herself in the mirror. But are you saying to look and assess, spend some time looking at yourself and saying, who am I? What is my move? That sort of thing.
I'm saying, for example, when you come out the bath, we get out the bath, especially as black women. We come out the bath, we cream our skin, off we go. No, take your time. When you're moisturizing your skin, moisturize your skin. Be grateful for your arms, how they've helped you carry things, your legs, everything. Look at yourself and love yourself. I've got stretch marks on my belly from being pregnant. I used to hate them. Never used to look at them. Now I look at them and I think they're badges. This is a badge of honor. This is where I carried a child. I love them. You know what I mean? It's how can I not love how my body worked to carry a child to full term and deliver? And not everybody gets to do that. So, So when I say this is what I'm talking about some women don't look in the mirror. Some women do what they need to do to get ready, make sure they ain't got nothing in their face and out. I'm talking about looking at yourself, not turning off.
Looking at yourself, studying yourself, looking at your legs, your knees, your thighs, your stomach,
everything.
Your boobs.
Yeah, thanking them for all the different parts that they play, because without these limbs, we wouldn't be walking up and down or doing whatever we're doing. And you don't want to look at yourself. So therefore, if you're being intimate with your partner, you're going to switch the light off. The man is with you because he likes you and fancies you. Clearly, you wouldn't be in that situation. And now you're going to just deprive both of you from enjoying that openness and the light. These are
I met a
the little
woman
things.
once. Yeah. I met a
Mm.
woman once who told me that in the beginning of her marriage, she used to hide behind the wardrobe
See?
and change quickly and then go under the cover,
Yeah.
before her husband comes and that sort of thing. This carried on for years until she had her baby. And in fact, with her first baby as well, they wouldn't let him in. So but
Mm.
with the second one, it became a trend that men were in the room. And she said she could have died, not of childbirth, but the fact that the man was seeing her in a light for the first time. This is not somebody who'd been married for years.
Yeah.
And, this is your second child. And your
Hmm.
husband hasn't seen your body. She herself may not have seen her body ever. So I
Mm.
do get what you're saying.
Yeah. And that's the self-love, you see. That's where we don't realize that we're not showing ourselves love. We do it subconsciously. We're just in our behaviors and our actions. You gotta love yourself. All of it, warts and all.
Yeah. I think, okay, my question to you, I ask women this all the time. And my
Yeah.
question to you is, if you could change one thing for all women worldwide, what
Hmm.
would it be?
To heal.
And now that you know women, you've met women, you've talked to women, you've helped women, you've helped them heal. You can see, sometimes you meet people and the minute they start talking or sharing their pain, you know exactly what the problem is.
Mm.
I'm
Some.
not a holistic healer, but
Mm.
even I can these
Mm.
days, because I talk to women all the time, and
Mm.
you can kind of immediately know the trajectory of the discussion, and
Mm.
not a lot of women actually want to admit what the actual problem is, and somebody like me, I'm too scared to say
Mm.
exactly what your problem, because I'm not
Mm.
I'm not qualified to do so, but I can just sense what the
Mm.
problem is and that sort
Mm.
of thing. So what would you change, or what one thing you would do to help women worldwide?
If I could magic wand healing, that's what I would do. But in terms of seeing somebody and seeing what you can view from them, because often we can't see our own stuff, right? Not
Yeah.
everybody's ready to hear it. And that's something I learned from the work I've been doing, and it kind of the hard way, because it's like, just because I can see something and I can see what would help somebody, if they're on their journey, when they're ready to hear it, they will hear. Have you never had that
Yeah.
experience with somebody where you've told them something loads of times, they haven't done it, and then someone else comes and says it, and they just go, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and you're like, I've been saying that to you for like however long, you know? It's because the vibration that that person's coming with, sometimes we have a different connection with that woman. So for me to say the one thing I would give every woman is really the magic of alchemy. I find it, I think it's that powerful. If I could express that into somebody and say, look, this is what you can do, and da 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 da, I would give that to them. But when I first learned about it, even I was not ready. I was bamboozled by it. I didn't hear. It took time. It's like a child learning to ride a bike or roller skate. They're going to fall quite a few times before they finally start to get it. You you can't just fix people like that, and people don't really need fixing anyway. What they need is an
Yeah.
awakening to themselves, to find themselves. And so the only way that I can do that is by being very compassionate to people that I meet and listening to them without judgment. I would say, take away the defensiveness, right? Listen with
Yeah.
compassion. Those are the two things that if we could master those two things first and foremost, we would go so far, because the judgment is placed on ourselves and others. As soon as we see people, you can't help having a judgment on people. But what I mean is, like, for example, when you said you can see something in someone, so like, you could go into that, but then they're going to feel judged and they're going to get defensive.
Yeah,
So
basically.
the point is not to, is actually to just have some compassion, to know that everybody is on a different journey. Not everybody's got, I said to a friend once, until you knew, you didn't know. So you're going to have some compassion for people that don't know. And I don't mean that arrogantly either. I'm just saying that there are things I don't know and I'm still learning. So I don't know it all. Just because I can see
Yeah,
something in someone doesn't mean to say that I know everything. I haven't lived their
no,
life. I haven't walked their shoes. I don't know
no.
their beliefs, their values. So that before I can really compassion and deeper understanding of their story and their journey.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things also is that it seems that, yeah, I mean, women are wounded by men. They in relationships, they're wounded at work and all. But sometimes women are hurt more by women than anybody else.
Mm.
Women are hurt more than people they know. Women are hurt more, and women are afraid to address whatever it is. And then, it festers, it hurts, it creates something else. And then sometimes you who are the person who is wounded, you then are deeply wounded and affected when people don't know. They don't know what's going on at
Mm.
all.
Mm.
How does that also come into, how does that marry with alchemy
Mm.
and trying to help somebody who is in unaddressed, in a situation where it is not addressed and therefore it's festering?
Yeah. I've been in those situations. I think with women, we have to, we can 100% be our own worst enemies. I've seen pictures go up of like stars who decided to, older women who didn't wear makeup and went out, and in the comments it's just women one after the other going, she should put on some makeup, she looks terrible, da, da, da. Or an older woman who's looking amazing, by the way. This is what makes me laugh. The bitchiness, the digging, that is
Yeah,
about them. Those things. And that's when I started to have a realization that when other people are having a go at you about something and keep telling you this and telling you that about yourself, it is really, if you can pause from being annoyed at what they're saying and realize that they're just giving you a confession. They're giving you a confession of the stuff that's coming up inside of them. It's not about you, it's about what's going on for them. Because when you're happy in yourself and you love yourself and you feel more fulfilled, you don't see the world through the same kind of lens. I spend a lot of time telling women how beautiful they are. Generally, I call every woman beautiful because I think every woman is. But I will see a woman on the street and comment her on what she's wearing, or her hair, or whatever it is. Do you get what I mean? Because at the end of the
yeah,
day, we have enough hate. We talk about sisterhood, we talk about hating the patriarchy, we talk about all these things, but when it comes down to it, the way that we go in after another woman is crazy.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
what happened to the sisterhood? I said that one time. This woman was she put a little video up and she had just had a baby. She must have been in her maybe late 40s or early 50s, I'm not sure, but it was a late surprise, put it that way, right? And so she was joking about how people thought that when she was out, it wasn't hers and this, that, and the other. And there were girls in there, women in there going, what, you should, no business having a baby your age. I mean, the way that they were going on, and I was like, what's it got to do with anybody, what her life choice is? Like,
yeah.
she's happy, she's got her partner, the child is joyful, well looked after and loved, but you want to go after her choices. It's up to her. It's kind of like mind your business, do you know? That's
No,
kind
I
of like,
know.
as
I can
Brett
give
as
you an example.
yeah. Please do.
So the other day, I mean, this is last year sometime, and I was chatting with a friend. I mean, I don't know even whether she's my friend or an acquaintance or whatever she is. But anyway, in conversation, out of the blue, she said to me, "But you see, I don't understand you at all. You are fat. And by now, you should be doing something about your size." So I said to her, please, madam, the one thing I know about myself is I am plus size. I have boobs. I have a waist. I have beautiful bum. And I'm managing my life. You have a huge stomach. I'm fat. You have a huge stomach and you're not addressing it. But you want to talk about my size? I mean, and I said that accidentally. But that's because I was so shocked that why did my fatness come in the discussion? I was like, but blah blah blah. But truthfully, you're not fat, but you're totally shapeless. And I'm quite happy. I can find clothes and I can put myself together and be confident on the streets.
Yeah.
And you have problems. And yet you're talking about me. Do you see what I mean? I mean, it's not that I am bragging or doing, but hey, what are we talking about?
But you hear what I heard there? I think sometimes, this is why I said when people talk, it's a confession. Really and truly, she's looking at you thinking, you're just so confident. You've got this beautiful, voluptuous figure. Really and truly, that is a compliment of, I am looking at you and I don't understand how you're so happy and I am not. Do you get what I mean?
Oh,
if you mirror people, think about what people are saying sometimes. And the stomach that she has, maybe she's not even maybe she would like to be a bit more voluptuous. But what we do when we're feeling, when we're being in that trauma, in our little trauma bond self, and we're lashing out at other people. We're lashing at other people because we don't really want to address what's going on within us. Because it's nothing to do, what somebody else is nothing to do with you. Unless that person has come to you for help and advice on whatever it is, it's nothing to do with you. And your response to her maybe what she needed to hear to kind of really check her tone in future. But, and I loved your response, by the way, because that is love. That is love of myself. That's like, yeah, look at me. I'm great.
Yeah, I mean, Gina, I felt so bad after, but it kind of, I was surprised.
Yeah, but what you said was a reflection of what was going on for her. So what her reaction to you did was trigger a response. So she's still creating that response. Do you get what I mean? Like, sometimes people find ways so that people can put them down, so that they can justify what's really what they're thinking about in their minds. We have something like 80,000 thoughts or 90,000 thoughts a day, and 80% of them are repeated thoughts. So we are repeating constant negative. Anything anyone says to you won't light a torch to the inside talk that you've been giving yourself. When people get put down, they're already putting themselves down somewhere. So at the end of the day, if you're being someone who's very spiteful and quite negative, throwing that out, it makes me, the compassionate side of me says they are in more torment. When I've had conflicts with people that I've just been like, I can't believe how horrid you're being to me right now. I'm just like so shocked, like, because I thought this of you or that of you. At the time, I didn't think this, but now I reflect back on it and I think that person must have been in so much pain that they're just, it's all the ugly pain that's spilling out and going at people. Do you get what I mean? That's where comes. Not everybody has time for that, and not everybody's supposed to have time for that. I do the work I do, which is why I do have time for it. But not everybody, when we're walking around in life, people aren't walking on eggshells for us and going, oh, let me be compassionate. This is what you're going through. People are having their days. And then you're going to come and say some nonsense to me. You're going to get the razor sharp edge of my tongue. That's it. I've been there, and I think most women are very capable of being quite sassy when it comes to responding, and as you did. So you go out there looking for it, and you do get it. My aunt used to say to me, whatever you're looking for out there, you're going to find. And you do. You always do. You find it in spades.
Yeah. The listener says experience teaches us wisdom.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, I did feel guilty. I felt guilty for my reply, because normally I listen to people and I don't say much, especially if you're trying to, because you don't know my life. You do not know. And I think over the years also, I have grown stronger within my life to appreciate that I am on my journey.
100%.
And so you don't know my life. I don't care what you say, but that stayed with me for months. I mean, I'm saying it now. I haven't forgotten. And I haven't forgotten. It's because of my reply to her. I was shocked at myself, because I was like, excuse me, do you mean?
And the thing is as well, that's your compassionate self, because you are that person. You listen, you hear people. But you know something, I do also believe that sometimes we're conduits. Sometimes we're just channeling something that someone needs to hear. I've spoken to people and I'm like, I don't even know where that came from. I don't know. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, what was that? It's because you're channeling something that they need to hear, which is why there's a bit of a discord for you in the fact that you said it, because you're feeling uncomfortable, because you're kind of like, I wouldn't normally say that. So I would just let it go, because at the end of the day, you were channeled into saying that there was a reason that had to happen. There was something she needed to hear, and you were the person to say it. It could have been worse. Could have been much worse. Could have been worse.
I could have punched her in the face.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh my God.
And you only feel bad because, as you said, that's something you wouldn't automatically normally do, but you just felt like that came out, and that was meant to happen.
It just popped out. I mean, that was like, and I felt guilty for it popping out. And I kind of felt also that she always makes these snidey remarks, often, and I ignore them. So this one, I then wondered, why did I say that? Why didn't I just leave her alone? Because I don't care what she thinks, really. But, you get that too. Yeah. Okay, so how do you help women move from awareness to actual tangible change?
Mostly when I have the circle, or if I'm working with them individually, I often give them processes. I work with them through a process that kind of turns a little light bulb on. They're things that I was taught by my mentors and teachers, and they're things that I've learned from just studying just different psychologies and stuff like that. And there's things that I've learned from life experience and repeated results, So the way that I work with women is always really at their pace and working with them on their journey. But it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. There are still things, if you really want, you have to really want the change as well. I've spoken to people before who talk about their pain, but they're kind of comfortable with it.
And they're comfortable with their pain.
Yeah, because it's what they're used to. That's why people fall back into certain behaviors. It's something that you're familiar with, because change can feel very uncomfortable. When you're a person who's never had boundaries and you start putting boundaries up, it will feel like you're being mean. But really, you're just giving to yourself. Saying no to someone else is saying yes to yourself. but it will feel uncomfortable because you've been the people pleaser, you've been the doormat, and everybody's used to just you saying yes, yes, yes. But one day when you choose yourself, it's going to feel so uncomfortable. So some people, rather than feel uncomfortable, because what that uncomfortability is really then going to make them think, oh no, I'm not good enough. They're not going to like me because I'm a people pleaser, right? So I need to please them. If I say no, they're going to stop liking me. They're not going to be my friend. I'm going to be alone. Or, all these little, they're seconds, thoughts going through your mind.
Mm.
So that's why sometimes people prefer to stay in their pain. You can talk to your blue in the face to someone. If they don't want to admit it, if they don't want to change, if they want to shift, they won't shift. So you just have to leave people to come to it in their own time. I've spoken to people like that, and I've just been like, okay, I had a consultation with a woman once, and we went really deep, and it freaked her out. It freaked her out so much, and she just said, I'm not ready to look at all that. Do you get what I mean? And that was
Yeah.
fine. That was fine. I didn't think, oh, I've got to convince her because I wanted to be my client. No, it's fine. People come back. The people have gone and come back, when they're ready, and that's fine. Or people have just done little bits, and then they've got to where they need to get to. So again, it's all good. It's all good.
Tell me about your podcast and what inspired you to have your podcast, and talk about it, and let's see if people would be interested to
It's a
listen.
joy that is. So my podcast is called Limitless Wombman, and it's about bridging the gap between women and men. And so that we can foster a deeper understanding and compassion and communicate better with each other. I have seen a narrative online, social media, everywhere. It's like battle of the sexes, all men are this, blah, 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 blah. All women are this, blah, 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 blah. Attack, attack, attack. If you see a comment, there'll be like 20 comments below. Sorry, I just realised reading that line. Absolutely. And so I was like, I know a lot of really good men. I know a lot of really good women and men that get on really well. I know a lot of very happy relationships. Like this narrative that the media's putting out that we're all against each other. I just wanted to change that narrative. So I created this podcast with the aim of having raw conversations. It's about just under an hour, maybe 40 to 50 minutes long. We talk. There's no edits. It's just a conversation. And the person who, like what you're doing now, you speak to me and I speak quite a bit, and then so you ask questions. It's a similar format. And then at the end of each one, I ask people to pick a quote or something that they live by that's really important to them. I've been interviewing women, men, and I love it. I'm looking forward to, I've got a really cool guy coming on, because I want to balance out that conversation. It's not just about women, but all the women that have been on have been amazing in their approach, the things that they've said. They have this wonderful energy about them, which doesn't make all men bad. And I'm not saying that everybody has to be in a relationship. I think there's a lot to be said about solitude. I really enjoy my own space. I do the most growing. I learn I've just bedded down in who I am by being in that solitude space. But the conversations I have when I'm talking about bridging that gap, especially in relationships, are for those people that perhaps have been hurt so badly that now they think that men are all bad. And that bit I want to change, or men as well, because I used to be part of a show where men were constantly voicing their opinions, and it was all so negative. It was all so negative about women. They just couldn't. Some men were so stuck in their pain. They were like, nah, all women do this. Every woman. And I'm like, well, there's millions of women in the world, and that view you have, I don't agree with that. So I'm at least one woman that isn't like the woman that you're talking about. And I can't believe I'm the only woman in the world that has this balanced view of men. The same thing with women. So the podcast is really about just diving into that and letting people see the different conversations letting people start to change the narrative for themselves, letting people start to ask the questions of themselves about why they feel a certain way about the opposite sex and what's going on there. Like, why can't we just be cool with each other? Why do we have to hate each other? If we had more compassion for where each other was coming from, we would better communicate, you know, take better self-responsibility for, you know, how we are. That's what radical humility is about. It's about acknowledging that we can be wrong. We're not all right.
You
know?
I think it's the media. I blame the media, I blame society, and I blame the confusion, because I think that women knew about their alchemy before what they call civilization, or whatever it is that we're in.
Yes.
Well, I mean, our lives are different now. It's always flight or fight mode. It's always survival mode. It's always, and so, yes, a lot of women would get up in the morning, have a bath, cream themselves, not look in the mirror, put some makeup on because it's required of you to look decent or to look whatever, and then off you go. You have children to look after. I mean, you have all sorts of things. I remember one time I went to work and there was cotton in my hair. I didn't even know where it came from, and I didn't even see it. But this thing, you're always on a rush, you're always running around, and then you get to a certain point in your life when suddenly, if you're lucky, and if you've been inspired by people like Gina, I've been inspired by people like Gina.
I'm inspired.
And then you kind of look at yourself, take a good look at yourself, and you kind of slow down and you kind of start thinking, and you kind of look back even and think, whoa, is this me? Is this me? You know that thing? It happens where suddenly things are not so bad, and suddenly you can do certain things. Suddenly you are in yourself and you kind of think, oh, and you start thanking the universe, you thank God, you thank whoever you think is your source, and you just as you said, you start to make peace with people. And suddenly understanding people, and you start to think, well, yeah, I'm fat, so what?
Oh yeah. Gratitude. Can you see me? Am I working? Because I saw a little circle. Yeah, gratitude is one of the biggest shift changes for anybody. I would say the one little thing I'll tell anybody who's listening today who doesn't practice it is to practice gratitude daily. And I'm not talking about just being, thank you. I'm saying every morning, find 3 to 5 things that you are grateful for. Or at the end of each day, look at your day and say, what went well today? Give yourself permission to be, absolutely. What went well today? Where wasn't I being in my most goddess way? Where did I not step up in the way I should have? If you check yourself every day, those are little things, they don't cost you anything. You can get an old scrap notebook and just write 3 things you're grateful for every day. It changes your neural pathways. It's actually known to do that. And what happens then is you start to look at just what you were talking about. You start to look at things every day. Like, people talk about manifesting abundance, right? And every time you hear about manifesting abundance, people think about gold and jewels and money. We manifest every day, all day long. Just sometimes we've not picked it consciously. And if we've manifested, we can manifest an argument. That's a manifestation. But what did I learn? What did I learn from it? What did I notice about myself? Where was I feeling hot in my body when that happened? What was it the trigger? That's a manifestation, and that's a learning. There's nothing that you do that you cannot learn from. So these are the little things I do with the women as well. It's gratitude. Gratitude. I mean, you see my necklace, right? It says, I walk with this every day. I wear it every day. I don't ever forget about gratitude. I did a show once called 100 Days of Gratitude, and I went on every day to talk about 3 things I was grateful for. It was interesting. It was great. But it changed people's lives because when people were following the show and doing it too, and they said that there was such a transformation over the 100 days. By the time they got to 100 days, their lives had changed. Their lives hadn't changed. They had changed. Their perspective had
Yeah.
changed. And so
Yeah.
therefore the world looked like a better place.
Well, our
Something.
time is up.
Ah,
Our
it's
time
always
is
so good
up
talking
with,
to you. I love talking to you so much.
yeah, it's always, we kind of like, we could go on. We could go on and on and
Yeah,
on, but our time is up. You have to come back again. And, I think we've
absolutely. I
learned a
love.
lot from this. And, even the listeners have picked up and I agree with you on certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
We ourselves, first and foremost, we have to we have to have gratitude. We have to express gratitude, and we have to
Mm,
show gratitude, etc., etc. And
mm,
then we grow, and we ourselves need to take stock of our lives. Isn't that
mm.
so? We need to take stock of our lives. We need to take about who we are. What am I doing? Why am I here?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
That's why the
100.
check-in at the end of the day is good, because we just get up, work, go to sleep. We haven't even looked at what's
Yeah.
happened in a day. So that's why I say gratitude evening and day.
No, you're right. But you're right, though. Gratitude is the main thing, and it's true. Sometimes we are like robots. We get up in the morning, get the kids ready, have to come back, go to work, and most of us, especially us Black people, we have so much. I don't even know how to express it or to give it a short name or something, but the sufferings that we go through at work, all the negativity, the racism, the
My
backhanded comments, the rudeness, we suffer it there, and we keep saying, "Oh, it's fine, it's okay," or you just look at the person, turn away. Some wounds you deeply, some doesn't so much, etc., etc., on and on. And then you come home. If you are in a terrible coupledom, I don't know, marriage, partnership, whatever,
mm,
is worse. Then you have children, and then
mm, mm.
it's just endless sometimes.
Yeah.
And then some people manage to realize at some point in their lives that this is not working. Some people also, So all we have to do is to be grateful for our lives and to try and see how we move forward, try and heal our
Mm,
own wounds. And it's in
mm,
your healing. I'm just repeating what you said. It is from your healing
yeah.
that you will progress
Yep.
and see the world in a different way.
Yes. Yes. You'll move from survival into thriving, and that's the gold. That's the gold.
That's the goal.
The lead is all the problems, the things that you thought were out of your control, and then you spin all of that, and you realize how powerful you are, and then that's the gold. The
That's the
gold is
goal.
realizing that you can do what you want, and you don't have to be a martyr, miserable, or any of those things.
That is the goal. Thank you so much for coming. This is
No
Gina
problem.
Atu. She is a natural holistic healer. She has her own podcast. You can seek it. I think I'll put it in the chat. She also works with women in different ways. You can
Yeah.
contact her, and she's even got a you've got
This is
a discount.
hmm?
Got a discount on.
Sorry.
You get a discount if you are on my show. Just mention my
Yes.
name and you go.
Yes. 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 Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll send you the link for my podcast and everything. But yeah, if you want to join my circle, let me know, and definitely just mention your name, and we'll be fine. I want to hear. I saw you on Kiki's show. I'll be like, okay, and I'll sort that out.
Kiki's show. Kiki is the catalyst. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
No problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
getting some compliments, and then thank you. Comments. But yeah, so Gina, thank you. Thank you again
No
for
problem.
coming, and it's been
No.
great. And I hope that you come again.
Yes. 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 Indeed. Take care. Bye.
You too. You too. Bye. Stay.